I miss you. Last night was close. He almost caught us when he came home early. That one message from my wife to my brother shattered everything. But what froze my blood wasn't the affair. It was the next message. The pills will be untraceable if we time it right. And then,
Sync. I thought it was thoughtful when Elaine gave me the smartwatch. Our 15th anniversary dinner at Marlowe's, the same restaurant where I'd proposed. Candlelight catching in her eyes as she slid the sleek black box across the white tablecloth. "So we can stay connected always," she said, her smile reaching only halfway to her eyes. The same smile I'd been seeing more frequently over the past year. I'd been working late hours at the firm. Partner track demands sacrifices. That's what I told myself each night I missed dinner. Each weekend I spent hunched over briefs instead of beside her on our patio. The distance between us had grown wider than the queen-sized bed we barely shared anymore. The watch was olive branch technology. At least that's what I told myself as I fastened it to my wrist and thanked her with a kiss that felt mechanical, rehearsed. "It's perfect," I said, wondering if she could hear the hollowness in my voice. "Now you'll always know where I am." She smiled again, that same half smile, and raised her wine glass. To staying connected. 3 weeks later, I was sitting in my office, fiddling with notification settings when I saw it. A small toggle switch labeled Mirror Phone Messages. Somehow, during setup, Elaine's phone had been synced instead of mine. A simple mistake. I should have switched it off immediately. Any reasonable husband would respect his wife's privacy. But there was her sister's name at the top of the thread. Vacation plans for next month? I wondered. We'd been talking about Cabo. I scrolled past boring exchanges about meal plans and something about her mother's medication. Nothing intrusive. I was about to disconnect when a different name caught my eye. David, my brother. "I miss you" was all the preview showed. That could mean anything. We're close. He'd been best man at our wedding. The three of us had dinner every other Sunday. I shouldn't have tapped it, but some primitive instinct, some survival mechanism buried deep in my cerebral cortex, forced my finger down. The message thread loaded. "I miss you. Last night was close. He almost caught us when he came home early." My chest tightened. The coffee I'd been drinking turned to acid in my stomach. "We need to be more careful," she'd written. "Just a few more weeks." I scrolled upward through what felt like miles of intimate exchanges. Pet names, memories of hotel rooms, plans for future rendezvous, references to birthmarks I'd never seen on my brother. The betrayal was complete, documented in high-resolution text, time-stamped and color-coded. But it was when I scrolled down that my blood froze in my veins. The research checks out. Heart failure looks natural in men his age, with his family history. The pills will be untraceable if we time it right. David's response. The life insurance pays triple for accidental death. Did you sign the policy update I left on your desk? My own brother. The person who taught me to ride a bike, who held me when our father died, who helped me move into my first apartment, who stood beside me as I said my vows to the woman who was now plotting my death with him. I kept reading, horror mounting with each swipe of my finger. After it's done, we wait a year. Respectful widow and supportive brother-in-law become something more. No one will suspect. They discuss the funeral in meticulous detail. Songs, flower arrangements, who would speak, who would cry the hardest, the catering budget. Elaine had even joked about what suit I should be buried in. Not the blue one. It makes him look pasty. He'd hate the photos. My brother had responded with a laughing emoji. That night, I kissed her when she came to bed, told her I loved the watch, asked if she wanted to go to that new Italian place tomorrow night. "That would be nice," she said, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. the same eyes that had looked into mine as we'd promised forever, the same lips that had kissed me goodnight for 15 years. I lay awake beside her, listening to her breathing, wondering how many nights she'd lain awake thinking about a future without me in it. How many times she'd reached for me in the darkness while imagining my brother's hands. How long they'd been planning to collect on my life, to build their happiness on the foundation of my grave. I took screenshots of everything, backed them up to 3 different places, called in sick the next day, and drove 2 towns over to buy a prepaid phone with cash. I watch them now, notice the patterns. Tuesday lunches when she was supposedly at yoga, Sunday morning jogs that took an extra 40 minutes. David's car parked 3 blocks away, but still visible from the roof of the parking garage across from our building. I became a ghost in my own life, a dead man walking. I wondered if they noticed the hollow look in my eyes, if they mistook it for overwork or midlife crisis. Did they laugh about it later, naked in some hotel room? "He has no idea," they'd whisper. "He never sees what's right in front of him." They'd planned my death for our anniversary. Poetic. Pills crushed into my favorite whiskey, the one David had given me last Christmas. Had they been planning even then? Had he watched me unwrap it, thinking about how it would eventually deliver the poison that would stop my heart? I made my move a week before their planned date, left my wedding ring on the nightstand with a note. "I know everything." Drove my car to Lake Mendham, left it unlocked with my wallet in the console and my jacket floating in the water, a single shoe on the dock. Then I watched from a distance as my world exploded. The police, the search parties, the news vans. Elaine's performance was Oscar-worthy, collapsing into my brother's arms, his strong hands steadying her grief-stricken body as cameras flashed. Her mascara running just enough to show devastation without obscuring her features. Perfect for the evening news. "He's been under so much pressure," she told the reporter, voice breaking. "I never thought he would—" She couldn't finish the sentence. My brother pulled her closer, protective, supportive. The investigation turned when they found my note, and the screenshots I'd mailed to Detective Hawkins, and the recordings I'd made of their conversations about after it's done, and the money, and our new start. Their faces in the interrogation room videos would stay with me forever. The realization dawning slowly, the blame shifting, the crumbling alibis, the tears that came too late. "It was just talk," my brother insisted. "We were never going to—" "David bought the pills," Elaine interrupted. "It was his idea from the beginning." I watched them destroy each other from a motel room 30 miles away, eating vending machine snacks and drinking warm beer. I waited until the funeral. Ironic that they used the exact playlist they'd picked for me months ago. Elaine in black, mascara-stained cheeks, my brother's hand on her lower back, a touch too intimate for a grieving widow and brother-in-law. They'd both been released on bail, the evidence against them circumstantial without a body, without a death. The eulogies were moving. My mother spoke of a son who'd always done the right thing. My college roommate remembered our road trips. My colleagues praised my work ethic. My life compressed into fond anecdotes and inside jokes. When the service concluded and people stood to leave, I walked through the back doors of the chapel. The screams were immediate. Someone fainted. My mother clutched her chest. My father's new wife crossed herself rapidly, but my eyes were locked on only 2 people, their faces drained of color as though they truly were seeing a ghost. And in a way, they were. "You shouldn't have bought me that watch," I said, my voice echoing in the stunned silence. We really did stay connected. Elaine's perfectly manicured hand covered her mouth. David took an instinctive step backward, knocking into the flower arrangement beside my empty casket. As the police officers I'd arranged to be present moved toward them, I felt no triumph, only hollow victory where love had once lived, an emptiness that echoed inside my chest where my heart had been. The watch on my wrist vibrated with a final notification, a message sent between them just this morning. After today, it's finally over. Then it's just us. I couldn't help but smile as I replied to both of them simultaneously. You were right about one thing. After today, it really is over. As they were led away in handcuffs, I noticed David still wore the watch I'd given him for his birthday last year. I wondered if he'd checked his messages yet, if he'd seen the screenshots I'd sent 5 minutes ago to everyone in his contact list. Some connections, after all, are impossible to break. Later, as the chapel emptied and the flowers wilted under the warm lights, Detective Hawkins approached me. "That was quite a show," she said, passing me a cup of weak coffee from the reception. "You know they'll try to claim entrapment." I nodded, but the messages predate my discovery. The pills were already in their possession. The life insurance policy change has both their fingerprints. She studied me for a moment. "What will you do now?" I looked down at the watch on my wrist, the gift that had saved my life, and pressed the small button on its side. The face went black. Disconnected. "Start over," I said simply. "Somewhere they can never find me." As I walked away from my own funeral, I realized that in planning my death, they had given me a new life, a blank slate, a second chance. The irony wasn't lost on me.
If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications.